Hey, what's up everybody? We're gonna go ahead and get started here in just a moment. But before we start, I just want to apologize in advance for the wind noise. We're gonna be having some significant wind in the microphone tonight. But it's good news because we're having a little bit of a break in the heat wave. It was about 96 degrees today in Manhattan with just about 70% humidity. So, I mean, talk about hot. It felt ridiculously hot today. That's the kind of weather I like. So as always, if you guys can hear us and if we're streaming in 1080p, feel free to leave a like on the video and let us know if we're good to go. Get started here in a moment. Thanks everyone. Well, good evening everyone and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Wednesday. It is July 10th, 2024. It is a beautiful night here in Midtown Manhattan and we're reporting live from Central Park South and 5th Avenue. We're sitting right outside the Sherry Netherland Hotel, the GM building, the Plaza Hotel, and the Aman, New York. Now we have some interesting breaking-ish news. We talked about this before, but I think it's kind of interesting just to talk about it one more time. Now, if you look at this building right here, the kind of gold and blue dome at the top, that is one of the most luxurious hotels and residences anywhere in New York City. And we just had a record-smashing deal close in Manhattan. The 5-story penthouse at the Aman closed for a record $135 million, making it the priciest New York City deal so far this year. And it comes at a time when we also just had a record closing right up there. The duplex on top of Central Park Tower sold and closed for about $110 million. So 2 sales this year, 2024 for New York City, over 100 million. Kind of crazy, kind of wild. Now it's 12,536 square feet. It takes the 22nd through the 26th floors at the Crown Building, 730 5th Avenue. It was built in 1922. It houses the Aman Hotel, 83 rooms, 22 luxury residences. Pretty amazing. With that being said, let's go ahead and actually get into some financial news. Today was an absolutely record-breaking day on Wall Street. Both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 hitting new all-time record highs yet again today. The S&P 500 was up 56 points on the day, or just over 1%, closing at a fresh record high of 5,633. Quite spectacular. So congratulations, everyone. And last but not least, the NASDAQ 100, or the NDX, closed up 222 points on the day, or just up over 1%, closing at 20,675 for the NASDAQ 100. So more record highs sweeping across the board for both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Now, tomorrow's the big day. As you know, tomorrow is Thursday, which means we're going to get the CPI numbers out. Now, if you want some further context on the inflation data, you can just type !CPI in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, where they'll go through and you can pretty much look at, 10 plus years of archived inflation data. So we'll see. I think the market potentially knows something. Maybe inflation's going to come in lighter than expected. I guess we'll see. We'll definitely break it down right here on Walks in Wall Street. Just another quick announcement, everyone. As we said last night, go ahead and check your email, because we did send out our free investing newsletter where we talked a lot about inflation. We also talked a lot about the broader equity market in general, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, Amazon, Netflix, and why I remain bullish and have been bullish on the U.S. economy, mainly due to immigration as it relates to H-1B visa. So if you want to look at all of our research for free, just scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, and you will receive all of our research in your inbox every other Thursday after the market closes. And that is our Substack. So let's see who we got in the chat, and let's kick this stream off on this less humid night in New York City. I see Alan is here. What's going on? Professor Dario, welcome. Ivan Hernandez. I see Solo 401. Ali Muhammad, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Patrice 2020, Oh Wise Owl is here. Little Poots, welcome. I see Tim, Doc7, Paul McNeely, Lena Sandoval, ETC333, Sabrina Fair is here in the chat. Looks like we got a full house. So it's good to see everyone. Brian is here. So good evening, Tom. Was enjoying one of your videos of Miami's design district. Yeah, we uploaded that yesterday. For those of you who have never been to the design district in Miami, would highly advise to do so. It's an amazing place. And it's also a little bit educational. If you look at our video on Miami's design district, just go ahead and click the link in the description of that video, and I included the article in the Wall Street Journal that was talking about LVMH, Bernard Hinault's huge bet that he made on Miami's design district as it relates to the big real estate plays that they've made there. So check it out. It's awesome stuff. And it talks a little bit about the Tiffany flagship store on Fifth Avenue. They spent about $500 million, or just about $500 million, renovating that building. So just as much as LVMH is as much as LVMH is a luxury goods play, it's also a real estate play. Yeah, it's going to be very windy tonight, everyone, because the heat wave is finally breaking, and the humidity is also finally breaking. So, Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. It's good to see you. Welcome. Here's a beautiful shot of 432 Park Avenue. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight, I was sitting down, I was reading an interesting article today in Investors Business Daily talking specifically about the upgrade cycle. And this is something we wrote about before. And I think you're also seeing this in the price action of Apple. Apple, new all-time record highs today. It's gone from a laggard to a leader in the market, right, propelling the S&P 500 a little bit higher. And if you remember what we wrote about, it was that after that worldwide developer conference that Apple held, there was a change in the sentiment of how analysts view the company. And what I mean by that is, if you go back and watch that keynote, it's on YouTube. I would highly suggest you do. The overarching theme is that all of these new and AI tools, I should say new and improved and much anticipated AI tools are coming, right? They're coming, but the catch is that you're going to need completely new hardware in order to take advantage of these capabilities and these AI applications. So that in and of itself can potentially pull forward a massive upgrade cycle for Apple. So people are running iPhone 8s, 11s, and even 12s, right? And if they want to utilize any of these new and improved AI tools, well, they're going to need to get a new device. But not necessarily just consumers. I think the biggest thing that's bullish is for the enterprise side, right? As you take it a step further, not just Apple, but Microsoft and a lot of PCs that are made by Dell and the like. A lot of this software now, I think Microsoft just announced that they're not going to be supporting Windows 10 anymore, I believe. So if you're a big enterprise, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company, and you're obviously not going to be running software that's not going to be supported, so this is probably going to pull forward a big refresh cycle, particularly in PCs as well, with these new AI PCs. I know Microsoft has their own branded one, Dell has their own branded one. So this could be some significant runway here. Now, it's very, very important to pay attention to this, because if you think about what happened during the pandemic, chances are if you worked in tech, particularly on the sales side, you saw a massive, and I'm talking about a massive, massive, massive pull forward in technology spend that was caused by people working remote, students doing remote schooling, remote education, and they needed that infrastructure. So there's about, many people estimate, maybe 5 years of technology spend condensed into 18 months. We may see a similar thing, maybe not on that monumental of a scale, but we may see another technology refresh being forced by AI. So check out that article. I thought it was really well put together in IBD. It talked about Dell specifically, it talked about Intel, Qualcomm, and ARM, which is the IPO we've talked about for quite some time. Hey, Joe Ratz is here. What's up? Good to see you. Patrick D. What's going on? Oh yeah, that's right. So England, what's it called? England won today. They beat the Netherlands. That was a great game. So they are going to the final in the Euro. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. We talked about Argentina. Big congratulations to Argentina as they are going to the Copa America final as well, which is cool. Anna says happy Wednesday. Good to see you. So we're going to try our best. We're really, really going to try our best to head down to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. I'm not too sure we're gonna be able to get there. I've been working pretty late in the office almost every night. But before the weekends, I'm gonna get you guys down to the Brooklyn Bridge. That is a guarantee. But we'll try our best tonight, let's just say that. Hey Jims, good evening Tom and team from a hot day in Tampa, Florida. So I saw this crazy video. There was actually two very, very disturbing videos. Number one, out of Tampa, Florida, and number two, out of Syracuse, New York, which is a city in upstate New York. And this comes right during earnings season when we're gonna hear from all the major airlines. So I'll ask the audience, who here in the chat saw those two really, really bad aviation mishaps today? Number one, there was a huge mishap with air traffic control. Well, it looks like there was a mishap with air traffic control in Syracuse with a Delta plane taking off and an American Airlines plane trying to land at the same time. The Delta plane was trying to take off and they almost collided in midair. That would have killed over 200 people. I was looking at that on the news, and at one point the planes were within 600 feet of one another. I mean, that's unbelievable, because you may think, oh, 650 feet, 700 feet apart, that's nothing. Yeah, well, when these things are going, hundreds of miles an hour, that's like seconds away from catastrophe. So that's number one. Number two is, I believe this was an American Airlines plane barreling down the runway at the Tampa airport. Just as it's about to take off, all of its tires just totally blow out. The landing gear just totally blows out. Narrowly missing disaster. I mean, could you imagine if the tires blew out just as it took off? Think about trying to land. That would have been crazy, crazy. Now, I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, I had a similar experience on my American Airlines flight. Not with the landing gear blowing out, not with the tires blowing out, but with the battery dying or some weird thing. They were explaining it to us. We were barreling down the runway and the pilot had to slam on the brakes, and essentially we had to be towed back to the, what's it called, the main gate, because I guess our battery died just right as we were barreling down the runway. So it's interesting because, well, it's not interesting, it's a little terrifying, because we have all these problems that you see in the news with Boeing. I'm not sure if anyone saw that now Boeing has to pay a huge sum of money for one of their plane crashes. And then we have, these type of, aviation issues. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between, does this stuff happen more often, but we just now have social media and we have Twitter and other, more, I would say, independent journalism that's bringing this stuff to light? Or is something going on? Is something going on here? I don't know, what do you guys think? But it was crazy, the footage on Twitter. Hey, Joe E, what's up? Thanks so much for joining us. I see New England Crypto is here. Always a pleasure to see you. Dale says you have the plane spotter channels now catching it as well. I think the only reason why there was footage of the almost near collision in Syracuse was because the police dash camera caught it, which is wild. RC says that's why I get anxiety when I'm about to fly. I sometimes do too, but if you look at the data, flying is obviously much, much, much safer than driving, for sure, but not even close. I don't know, if I'm not an aviations expert, maybe some of you are. It just seems like too many things have been happening lately. It just seems like too many things have been happening. I don't know. and like little mistakes that shouldn't be happening. Like one of the planes was cleared to take off while the other one was cleared to land. And I think the reason why it wasn't such a cataclysmic collision is because the American Airlines pilot was like, wait, who's cleared to take off? Because we're cleared to land on that strip. I don't know. Hey, Tyler Silva, what's up? Jimmy B says we have a shortage of air traffic controllers. I think I heard about that too. And those are really good jobs, I think, right? Aren't air traffic controllers, I would assume they're pretty well paid? I would assume six-figure jobs, right? At least $100,000 a year for an air traffic controller. TK Porsche says these runway/landing emergencies have happened several times in the last 2 to 3 years. It's definitely deteriorating safety with air traffic control. RC says too many human errors with these towers these days for the controllers. Dale says there are a lot of air traffic controllers about to retire and they are training the new folks. Brad says they are very well-paying jobs, but they're extremely stressful. I can imagine, for sure. Doc 7 says need AI in the towers. I'm sure, you know, with all the technology we have, will there come a time where all of this will be completely automated? Like where we'll have some sort of aviation software where it physically won't allow the planes to barrel down the runway if it senses another aircraft about to land. I think this is all human error. Now, I'm not calling for Armageddon, but it is kind of concerning to see. I get it, mistakes happen, but I feel as if a mistake like that, you're telling one plane to land as another one's taking off, that's a little, I don't know. Hey, Combat Jones, good to see you. Says, what are your thoughts on SoFi, future AWS of banking, big hype? I don't know. I think SoFi was a SPAC. It's not on any of my watch lists. We'll pull it up right now, but I don't really follow it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even look at something like this. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, it's at a 52-week low. It's not even on my, because the way I think about it is, this is one of the strongest markets I've ever traded through in my life, by a long shot. And you have so many great quality names that have been blowing through new 52-week high, all-time record high, is really, really trending. So in very strong bull markets, that's really when you never want to bottom fish, because the market is telling you what the leaders are. So look, and maybe SoFi is a great company, I don't know, but chances are if it shows up on a new high list, there's a reason, because it has the earnings, it has the sales, it has the return on equity, it has the pre-tax and after-tax margins. So if you go through, you know, the list, you know, a list of stocks, or just pick, you know, go to slickcharts.com, look at the weighting in the S&P 500, and just go through every single one of those charts, it'll be quite clear, number one, what stocks are trading near new highs. And then if you work backwards, we just say, oh, okay, well, sales are up 100% this year. Earnings are up 50 to 100% this year. So, I mean, there's just so much better merchandise on the market where I don't pay attention to things that are trading near the 52-week lows, and I don't really know too much about it, but I mean, what are your thoughts about it? If you could tell us. This is Charles Schwab. I know Shannon says Din Tai Fung opens up on July 18th. Two of my buddies went there for like the pre-opening, and they said it was amazing. It looks awesome. I'm definitely gonna go when it opens, 100%. This is 53 West 53rd Street, right on the corner of 53rd and Avenue of the Americas. Professor Darillo says they have a system called ISL, Instrumental Landing System, but something happened. Oh, so it was probably maybe a malfunction. Let's see what else. Roberts' air traffic controllers are severely overworked. Sabrina Ferris says, me to my pilot friend, if something happens to the pilots, can I land the plane? Pilot friend says, no, here you go, hun. Damn. That's pretty grim. Now, another thing I'd just like to note quickly, and this is really good that we've been doing these live streams for about 2 years now, because we can kind of see a full business cycle kind of really coming to fruition here. So if you remember a lot of our conversations in 2021, we were talking specifically about IPOs and how 2021 was the best year on record for new issues, right? In terms of the amount of stocks and companies coming public, both IPO traditionally and then SPAC. Now, as the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, right, we went from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening. Well, the IPO market totally shut off, and really so did the M&A market. And you know, if you're an investment banker or you have friends who are, you could just ask them, you know, how busy were you in 2021 compared to 2022 and 2023? And it's totally night and day. The good news now, and this is something else we've been writing about, we just got the Q2 numbers for IPOs, and it's been the most amount of activity for new issues since the height of the 2021 craziness. So I think this is only the beginning. You're starting to see IPOs hit the market. You're starting to see M&A transactions pick up again on Wall Street. And if you've been reading our newsletter, the Behind the Street newsletter, we kind of wrote about this a year ago, kind of saying, well, it's probably very, very likely that both the IPO market and the M&A market's going to open back up. Now, why did we say that? Well, because a lot of the investment banks were trading really, really well. It was a leading group. You had Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, some of the boutique investment banks like Houlihan Lokey, Jefferies, and the like, Evercore, trading into new 52-week highs and breaking out. Now, stocks tend to lead by about 6 months. And the earnings, if you go to like a Goldman Sachs, look at their EPS in 2021, and then look at their EPS in 2022 and 2023, and right now you'll see a massive V-shaped recovery in earnings. So I think it's very, very important we continue to watch that trend. Hey, Victor C, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. speaking of the major investment banks, I think Goldman Sachs just hit a new all-time record high again today. Let's actually check out Rockefeller Center. We haven't been there in a long time. Sabrina Fair says, why would I lend you money for free? Now, Sabrina Fair, I gotta tell you about this. Your comment reminds me of the deal I was just working on, where this guy, nice guy, but he wants to, buy one of our listings, and in his offer, he was like, I want seller financing at 2%. Seller financing at 2%, right? Now, why does that not make sense at all? Does anyone know why that doesn't make sense at all? I think we have the light here. Hold on one second. All right, we got the light. Now, if a bank, right, let's say if you go to a bank and you want to get a mortgage, right now, depending on which bank you use, there's some circumstances where, let's say, if you move $1 million, you move $2 million to a bank, they'll cut you a break, they'll buy down like a point or two on the mortgage, so you can get it like 5%. Well, let's just say, normal credit, normal person, you're not moving any money, nothing like that. You're probably going to get a 30-year fixed right now, high 6s, probably low 7s, and that's from an institution, right? A big institution like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. But if you want to do seller financing, like let's say if somebody wanted to buy my house, usually the standard, right, and it's quite obvious, right, the standard for seller financing is usually SOFR plus 500, right? You tack on 500 basis points. Because if JP Morgan is tacking on that much, or maybe a little less, to lend you money, and they're a multi-billion-dollar bank, you think a small individual is going to take less risk and lend you money at 2%? Of course not. If anything, seller financing would probably be 10 or 12%, maybe 13%, right? And you would negotiate the duration of the note. But yeah, it was just like that comment, Sabrina Fair's comment, kind of, yeah, it's exactly that. So like, why would the seller lend you money for less than what mega billionaire Jamie Dimon is? They took down all the American flags. I wanted to come here because usually right around the 4th of July they have all these American flags up. But Rockefeller Center looks awesome. Hey JC, what's going on? I saw you sent me that article about Bitcoin. I didn't get a chance to read it. What was it about? Maybe you want to just give us all a quick synopsis of what it was about now. Oh, this is pretty cool. Now, I do prefer what they did last year. If you guys remember what they did last year, this was a big roller skating rink. it does look nice, but I think the roller skating kind of looks a little bit cooler. Would you agree? Hey, Melissa 2087, good to see you. Yeah, it's definitely pretty busy. Definitely pretty busy. And lots of tourists in New York, which is great. Let's do one lap around Rockefeller Center. JC says the article mentions Trump will be a speaker at the biggest Bitcoin event in the world later this month. What event is that? Is that the Bitcoin conference? They're going to have it in the Netherlands this year, I think. At least I think that's where they're going to have it, right, JC? In the Netherlands, something like that? I went to the one in 2022. That was in Miami Beach, the Miami Beach Convention Center. It was a great experience. Oh, Nashville, JC. For some reason I thought it was going to be in the Netherlands. I don't know why. But yeah, I went to the one in Miami Beach. I had a press pass there, and I met a lot of really cool people. All right, let's go down here. I'm actually curious to see. We haven't been here in a long time. I think Rockefeller Center always does a really good job on the landscaping. It's a really beautiful part of the city. Now, pretty soon before you know it, we're going to be standing right here during the holidays, and there's going to be that big because he was very, very negative on US equities and bullish on European companies. And Europe is a disaster right now. We'll talk about that another night, but unfortunately, I think the UK is a lost cause, and I think you're going to see a ton of capital flight from the UK. It's going to rotate into North America, US and Canada, and it's going to rotate into Latin America. And I love Peter Schiff. I think he's a great guy. I've met him a few times. But he's right on some things, right? He's right on gold. And that's the beauty of the investment business. And that's why I love Wall Street and America so much, is because you could be wrong on most things and still make a fortune in this country. Like, that's amazing. It's a blessing. The greatest traders and the greatest investors in the world, if you're like the cream of the crop, you're right about 50, maybe 60% of the time, if you're like the best, right? This is St. Patrick's. Now, Peter Schiff has been right about gold. Gold's been trading really well. Hey, the average viewer, what's up? Good to see you. You know, and that's what's great about business in general in America, right? A lot of the most successful entrepreneurs had a lot of businesses that failed and went bankrupt. But in the United States, if you're just persistent, right? If you're just persistent and you never quit, you're gonna do well in the United States. You just are, right? I mean, look at Adam Newman. The guy's a multi-billionaire, and he created one of the biggest failures of modern history in a company. But you could still make a fortune doing it. So don't kind of maybe be hesitant of trying something because you may fail at it. That's fine. Just continue to press. Because you're never going to bat it. You're never going to shoot 100%. It's just impossible. It's not going to happen. That's one of the, dangerous, not to bring politics into it again, but I do see a very, very dangerous criticism of Trump. Everyone's like, oh, why would you ever vote for him? He's a failed businessman. He's gone bankrupt. He runs his companies into the ground. I think people like that make that criticism, they've never built a company, they've never hired people, they've never been responsible for people. That's what happens in business. You make bets and things fail. But if, again, going back to that point, if you have the mental fortitude and perseverance to keep going and not quit, you'll make a fortune in this country. Right? And I'd say that for both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. Sometimes you run a bad campaign. It doesn't mean you're down and out forever. Just get back on the horse and continue to go. But I think the reason why I criticize that criticism is because it can send the wrong message to subliminally, particularly impressionable young people, to say like, oh, I'm going to get trolled or I'm going to get harassed if I try to start this company or if I try to pursue this career and it doesn't work out. Everyone's going to be like, oh, you went bankrupt, you're a loser. No, you're not a loser. You're not a loser at all. Nick says, Tom, would you ever let AI choose stocks for you? Sure, if I was smart enough. Jim Simons unfortunately passed away this year. He is the greatest investor of all time and one of the greatest mathematicians of our generation. And his algorithms buy and sell all the stocks. If you work at Renaissance Technologies, you are not really involved in making the selection decision for the portfolio. You're working on training the models in the algorithms that select those stocks. So if you're a quantitative, right, for sure. I just don't have that expertise, and I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. But sure, if I had access to the source code of Renaissance, 100%, 1,000%. And it's been an interesting shift, right? If you think about all the big money on Wall Street throughout the crazy 80s and 90s and even early 2000s leading up to the financial crisis, the most lucrative jobs on the street, right, were the bankers. You know, M&A banking, iBanking, things like that. But now, the top brass on Wall Street making the most money are the quants, the quantitatives by far. You know, if you're a quantitative researcher at Citadel Securities or 2 Sigma, jump trading, Hudson River trading, those are some of the top quantitative firms. D.E. Shaw, David Shaw. You know, if you're a top math student coming out of the top universities, you'll probably knock down 600,000 right out of college. The top hires at Citadel, 2 Sigma, Hudson River Trading, if you're that good, right, if you know, these are people, physics majors, math majors, you will make millions as a quantitative researcher on the street. All right, everyone, let's continue down. If you're enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Middle Age Grinds is, are you bullish about the S&P over the next decade? I would say scan the QR code on your screen and read our latest 3 newsletters. And I gave a in-depth outline thesis about it. Check it out. I would say that's my in-depth view. But short answer, yes. Hey, what's up, Austin City Limits? Mr. Gupta says, Tom, what are your views on high-frequency trading? I think I just gave my little rebuttal there on high-frequency trading and quantitative finance. I would say if you're really interested in math, like I never knew about any of this stuff when I was in high school, but I'd say if you're a high school student now and you have a passion for math, a passion for statistics, I would take a look at pursuing a career at any of those companies I've listed. And I'd start early and I'd network with those people and you know, start to build your own algorithms and start to build your own little bots and things like that, and I think you'll have a really, really successful career. Wow, look at the spire of One Vanderbilt tonight. It's like this crispy blue. Let's get a little bit closer to it, actually. Hey, Venezuela. Says, good night, everyone. Greetings from Venezuela. Greetings, my friend. Good to see you. You guys had a pretty good run in the Confederations Cup. I mean, Copa America. Why do I keep saying Confederations Cup? This is the Cornell Club. Not sure if we have any Cornell alumni here, but this is the New York City Cornell Club. Just around the corner to our left is the Yale Club. This is quite nice. This used to be the Brooks Brothers that went out of business. Hey, Jay Hill. It's the second time I've ever been in the chat. Well, thanks for joining us. We're happy to have you here. Oh, everyone, we have some big news in New York City. Big news. Huge news. The biggest. You want me to tell you what it is? I'll tell you what it is. Now, oftentimes we talk about the housing crisis in the United States, particularly in a major city like New York. And one of the ways, developers are trying to solve this crisis is by doing office to condo conversions. Now, one of the notable projects that we've talked about, which is more on the luxury end, but we're talking about it because of the size of the project. The project is called One Wall Street. And to date, that is the largest office to condominium conversion in the city's history, but that is soon to be dethroned, my friends. We have some breaking news, and under construction very, very soon. We'll actually walk through the construction site. We'll go around the block because this guy's taking a piss. So we'll walk the construction site of the old Pfizer offices on 42nd Street. There's going to be, I think, over 1,000 new, with most of them being affordable apartments, by the way, right on 42nd Street in the old Pfizer office that's now vacant. That it will be the largest office to condo conversion, not only in New York City, but in the entire United States. So I think since we're about to be on 42nd Street, we might as well take a look. Now, what I would also say is check out the most recent interview with the Manhattan Borough President, kind of talking about the housing crisis and kind of what we could do to solve that. There's some really outdated and egregious... Oops, let me cross here. We're right outside Grand Central Station now. There's some really outdated and egregious regulations that prevent many of these old and dated office buildings from being converted into condos, because it has to be built, I think, 1960 and up. If it's built before 1960, I don't think you're allowed to do that. But hopefully they'll amend those laws, in which case that would kind of open up the floodgates to build more affordable housing and just more product in general on the market in the city. So I think that's good news. I think that's very good news. This is the Yale Club. Unfortunately, it has all the scaffolding all over it. Hey, Western Mass Dave, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Cruz says those clubs are for membership, so much that you don't have to be an alumni. I don't think so. I think you need to be an alumni for sure to go into the Yale Club or the Cornell Club. I think you need to be an alumni, but if you're an alumni, you can take a friend or a family member. I've never been to Yale, but the most impressive college campus I've ever been to, well, it's a tie. It's a tie between Cornell University and Vanderbilt. Queen 2105 says, Tom, are you watching the Euros? Yeah, I saw England beat the Netherlands 2-1. It was a good game. And they scored at the 90th minute to win it too. Now, England scored 3 goals, but one was called offsides. I didn't agree with that call, but Kyle Laces, Tom, what are your thoughts on owning Manhattan series with Sirhan? I haven't watched it yet. I haven't seen it yet. Just because I don't have Netflix. And I don't really watch too much TV, but hopefully it's good. I'll try to carve out some time to watch it, but there's 2 issues. Number 1, I need to find the time. And number 2, I need to buy Netflix. But I'd love to check it out. Let's go check out this old Pfizer office. Dave's bagpipes are so emotional. I agree, I'm tearing up right now. Now this is Pershing Square. Speaking of Pershing Square and Bill Ackman, I think Pershing Square just IPO'd. Or went public. I think they're doing a SPAC. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they are. Oh wow, those places are struggling. They say you don't need to be a member, you don't need to be an alumni anymore. Really? Wow, I did not know that. And I'm surprised that they're struggling. Like the Cornell Club, the Harvard Club, the Yale Club. How would they possibly in a million years be struggling? I've made my one critique. I've made my one critique before about these Ivy League schools. My brother went to Cornell. My critique is that their endowments are so massive. There's no reason why any of the students that are accepted to these schools should be taking on any amount of debt. The endowments they're pretty much like glorified hedge funds now. Particularly Harvard, Yale, Brown. So that's kind of my one gripe with it. I think if you're smart enough to get into school at any of these Ivy League institutions, and if the core values of these Ivy League schools are really what they say they are, which is to focus on education, well, there's enough multi-billionaires and successful people that have attended these schools that give millions of dollars every year to these schools, and they have some of the best portfolio managers in the world managing these endowments. Well, I think the burden shouldn't be on the kids, particularly if it's a government subsidized loan. That's kind of my plight with it, right? Don't expect, especially if we're going to bail out all these student loans, right? If we're going to do student loan forgiveness, I think it's crazy that the endowments of Yale, Harvard, Columbia, Cornell, they would have allowed some of these students to take on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt and potentially, again, this is hypothetical. I don't think the whole student loan forgiveness thing is going to happen. But if these loans get forgiven, then it's like, okay, well, we've essentially bailed out all of these mega hedge funds, because that's essentially what they are, right? All those Ivy League endowments are just glorified hedge funds and PE shops. Wow, that's awesome. Theos is my nephew, got his NYU school paid for by the Home Depot founder. That's incredible. God bless him. That's awesome. This is the Chrysler Building here. One of my favorite buildings in the city. Beautiful Art Deco style. Lena Sandoval, what's up? Good to see you, Lena. Tommy Guy is here. Hey, Tommy. All right, let's make this left. And let's go to Pfizer. The old Pfizer office. Professor, so I love that building. I'm telling you, what you got to do, Professor, when you come back to New York, take my advice and go up to the Centurion Lounge at One Vanderbilt. If you have American Express. If you don't, I'll take you up there. You have this insane view. It's like, I'll see if I have some photos of it, but the spire of the Chrysler Building is so perfectly centered on the dining room at the Centurion Lounge. It's crazy. You got to check it out. It's awesome. And this is Johns Hopkins is offering free medical school. They recently received a $1 billion donation. Well, I think that's the right thing to do. I think that's the right thing to do. Because much of these, donations and endowments, yeah, they go to build more facilities, this and that. But at the end of the day, here's what I believe. I think you're a special type of person if you're smart enough to get in those schools. I think we could all agree on that, right? You're really, really brilliant if you're smart, talented enough to receive those high scores, high GPAs to get into those Ivy League schools. It's kind of like betting on a stock, right? If Nvidia has 100% earnings growth and they just came off, 6 to 8 beat and raised quarters, you want to continue to give that gas and feed that stock. That's how I think about these students. So you don't want to have these students go to these schools and be burdened by the debt and they're worrying and struggling for the money when the schools have so much money. They have more money than God. So we should relieve that stress, or these colleges, I should say, not we. The Ivy League institutions should relieve that stress from them. For the students who are smart enough but can't afford it, they should just zero out the tuition with the endowment. That's my view. I think that's fair. Because they got the money to do it. And I'm not a donor, but I think if you ask, some of the top donors to Harvard, like Ackman, or something like that, what do you think about that idea? I think they'd say that's a fair idea. All right, let's figure this out. Oh, here it is. This is so interesting. So this is going to be, what is it, 1,500 apartments? Let me look it up. Give me a second. I was reading the article today. Just bear with me here. All right. Oh, I'll do you one better. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let's do this. I think I can play the video. This is the video.
The former headquarters of Pfizer is about to be converted into 1,500 apartments. It'll be the largest office housing conversion in American history, and we need many, many more like it. There are millions of square feet of empty office space all over Midtown. problem. Most of the vacant buildings cannot be converted to housing because of outdated rules and regulations. Like one that says only buildings that were erected in 1961 or earlier can be converted. By chance, Pfizer got in just under the wire. They were built in 1961. But there are vacant buildings all over the neighborhood that were built later. We have a chance to fix this. There's a zoning proposal on the table now called City of Yes.
City of
that would
Yes
extend
zoning.
the cutoff year to 1990. That would unlock the potential to convert thousands of apartments all over Midtown. And we have to make sure that those conversions include significant affordable housing as well. So let's do this. Let's make sure that the Pfizer conversion is not a one-off.
And there it is. So I think the audio is a little low, but I think you got the gist of it. So the new zoning proposal is to say, okay, let's take the date from 1960, bump it up to make it a little later, so we can have a lot of these buildings be eligible for these conversions. Let me cross at the light and we'll check it out. I mean, I don't know. It's not the most desirable area, but hey, it's something. If it's going to bring 1,500 more units on the market, I think I'm all for that. So look at this. Yeah, 3T3 says Ackman recently canceled his yearly donation to Harvard. That's a different subject, and I'm glad he did that because, you know, a lot of these Ivy League schools were quite blatantly supporting Hamas and other terror groups and making Jewish students feel uncomfortable on campus. So I agree. I think they should rip all the funding until they can ensure that Jewish students are safe on campus. It kind of looks like Pfizer is still here though, doesn't it? All right, let's cross at the light. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff in Midtown East, this is 2nd Avenue now, so we're far over on the east side. If we continue to walk towards, why am I blanking on the name? If we continue to walk all the way towards the water, the East River, that's going to be the United Nations. There we go, that's what I was thinking about. The United Nations. A lot of these offices here are vacant. Let's check out the building. 42nd Street, 2nd Avenue. Sunshine NYC, thanks for joining. So here it is, everyone. This is going to be the largest office to condo conversion in not only New York City's history, but in the history of the United States. It's going to be cool to see what they do with it. Because many of the condo conversions, particularly in Lower Manhattan, they really, really do look like you're living in an office building. So we'll see what happens. Now, to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I mean, it looks like this is still a functioning Pfizer office. Maybe it is. I don't know. You can even see like the mini cafeteria over there. But I mean, look at all the retail. It says prime retail for lease. This isn't prime retail, by the way, but it says prime retail for lease. This isn't a very trafficked neighborhood anymore. It's a very, very dead neighborhood. But I think it's a good idea that we're making these housing now. Oh, Kathleen, you're right. Pfizer's headquarters is now in the Hudson Yards. Yeah, and we're seeing that trend, right? This is something we've been talking about for a long time, that you're seeing a big flight to quality in New York from these older Class B and Class C office towers to the luxurious Class A towers now, right? And many big companies and organizations are taking a smaller footprint in terms of overall square footage, but they'd rather take the smaller square footage in a nicer building. So this could potentially be the exact thing that solves the housing crisis in New York, or at least maybe not solves it, but helps a little bit. Let's just go to the other side. Oh, here's another little tip for everybody. If you're looking to go to an ATM now in the city, usually it's 24 hours. They're not 24 hours anymore. They're only to 10 p.m. and then they lock it, because there's been so many issues and complaints of essentially these little ATM things turning into heroin dens. So at night, everyone goes in there because it's shelter, and you know, you can pop heroin and do all that stuff. So almost all the main ATMs now, they close at like 10. Hey, Leanne, what's up? This is so many, utilize for sure, and vacant spaces in Midtown East where your shop is. Absolutely. And I think that'll all change. Man, it does kind of look dated. Yeah, it looks very, very dated. This is Leanne's store, if anybody's interested. Chase the Fox. Very, very unique, very cool. Close-ish to my office. So if you want to support one of our viewers here, she has this really, really unique gift shop, 229 East 53rd Street. It's in the basement unit. It's a very unique gift store. So if you're looking for interesting gifts, closing gifts, visit Chase the Fox, 229 East 53rd Street. It's a pretty cool store. Now this restaurant looks like it's been closed for a long time. I don't know if it's open or not, but let's see what it says. It says the location is currently closed and we are pursuing a new location in the fall. Wow, Roslyn, New York. Roslyn's Long Island, I think. Yeah, Roslyn's far. Well, it makes sense. They probably had to move because this is now going to be that conversion project. I'd like to walk in the building. I'm going to see if I can reach out to someone to go in there before they do the construction, just to kind of see what it's like in there before they tear everything down. Since we're here, maybe we'll go to the United Nations tonight. There's another entrance to Pfizer. But you can kind of feel it is dead over here, right? I mean, if you walk down 2nd Avenue, it's just office building after office building that's totally blown out. This is obviously an older office building. But you can really see how low the ceiling heights are compared to, let's say, you know, a 1 Vanderbilt or even a 50 Hudson Yards. I think once you experience working in one of these modern office towers, there's no way you're going to go back to these old 1980s, 1960s even. All right, let's make a run for it here. Go to the United Nations. If you guys are enjoying the live stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Look at this. This is kind of like, what would you say? This is like 1980s style. At least the lobby. CUNY. Maybe this is a CUNY corporate office. This is where they do New York 1. You can kind of see the studio up there, I think. So what do you guys think? Would you live in the Pfizer building? I think it's an alright location if this gets to be apartments. You're just a stone's throw away from Grand Central Station. Not bad. You're right. I think it says it on, yeah, Pix Plaza. Now this bar has been, yeah, you're right, Pix 11. This bar has been closed for so long. McFadden's. I remember my freshman year of college, our soccer team went here. This was, my God, 1,000 years ago. And it's just been sitting vacant. If you go up the stairs here, you're gonna have a pretty nice view. This is where many people check out the Manhattan Hinge. Hey, Soho Joe, what's going on? It's good to see you. You see all the Tutor apartments. Quite nice up here, isn't it? Someone says Mets or Yankees. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I have to go with the Yankees. What about you? You guys are going to see a really nice view here. So this is pretty cool because this is 42nd Street and you can see all the way through Times Square to the Hudson River, but you also have a beautiful view of the spire of the Chrysler Building and One Vanderbilt. So if you ever heard of the Manhattan Hinge, some of the most famous photos of the Manhattan Hinge are right here. These apartments are quite nice. They're older. This is the Tudor Place apartments. It's a quiet neighborhood. What do you guys think? Do you want to go to the United Nations? We're close. If you want, I'll take you there. Look at how beautiful the stained glass windows are. Tudor Tower. It's almost like a church. Oh my God, what a night and day difference. It's so quiet. I could definitely see myself living here. You know, it kind of reminds me of our walks through Sutton Place a little bit, right? Just make one lap around and we'll check out the view. Ah, Theo says you lived in Tutor City when you were young. Awesome. Ooh, look at this cool little hole-in-the-wall coffee shop. That's cool. It's like a very, very unique little cafe. That's so cool. And it's right outside of your apartment too. 5 Tutor City Place. And they also have a tailor. A very, very small little tailor. They got a few seats in there. And you can see a tiny, tiny bit of the Chrysler. And this is overlooking Queens and the United Nations. City. Whoa, look at all that down there. What is that? See a little bit of the 59th Street Bridge. Lots of garbage though. Now the city of New York paid, I think, McKinsey multi-millions of dollars to see if it's a good idea to put the garbage in trash cans instead of just leaving it on the street. And the findings, you're never going to believe this. Get ready. After multiple millions of dollars, the genius consultants at McKinsey, wait for it, they decided it was a better idea to put the garbage in garbage cans instead of just leaving it on the street. Pretty revolutionary findings. I mean, Eric Adams could just slip me $100 grand. I could have told him that. All right, let's walk down the stairs here. And we'll check out the United Nations. What do you guys think of the Tutor City neighborhood? I like it a lot. If we make a right here, I think it's the stairs, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I think they need to put this in. Or just get like a massive dumpster. I mean, it just doesn't look good. You know? Alright, let's head down. Yeah, Jeans, it's a beautiful area, but it's cold in the winter. Freezing. Anywhere near the water, it's gonna be cold. Spot here with this tree. I don't want to get knocked off by a bike. KML says gloomy looking area. Where's the nightlife? I don't think there's too much nightlife at the United Nations. I do want to walk down here to see what that... I think there was like drones over here. Ah, no drones. No drone zone. We're gonna check out what's down here and then we'll head out. Just curious to see what it is. Here's a cool view. Oh wow, crazy, Brad. I was gonna ask you, hopefully everyone is doing all right with the hurricane, Hurricane Beryl. I was talking to a good friend of mine today, and this was the friend that I was telling you guys about, whose daughter unfortunately has pancreatic cancer, so they had to fly to Houston to do the treatment. And he's like, it's crazy. He's like, there's so many people without power, and it's been very, very hectic. So hopefully everyone in Houston's all right. I feel like Houston always gets the worst storms. Brad says I'm in great shape. We're still without power. Ah, but you have a generator. That's good. Could you imagine not having a generator in this heat? Ah, look at this. So, Field of Light at Freedom Plaza. Look at all this stuff. I knew I saw something. unique, right? I wonder what it is. They have security guards at the entrances. Anyone else in Houston? Brian says we lived in Texas for 20 years. Generations of big business there, or generators of big business there for sure. Yeah, you got to get yourselves a Generac generator. Look at the Pepsi Cola sign from here. This is cool. Hold on. This is as far as we could go. We're now at the highway. Matt Bobs lives south of Houston. Unfortunately, it missed us, but I feel for the people of Houston. Wow. As far east as you could go in Manhattan. Yeah, Sabrina Fair says weeks without refrigeration. It's terrible. Imagine the view from those condos, looking down at this field of lights thing. Like a robot rebellion or something. Right, everyone. Let's now check out wow, Felix is still over 1 million without power. Mine just came back at 3 a.m. this morning. Whew. Now, what are your thoughts? Because I was watching something on YouTube the other night, and what they're saying is the frequency of storms now, I guess it's something with the jet stream. I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist. But apparently what's happening, and maybe we have some experts in the chat, apparently what's happening is that instead of many of the storms hitting the east part of Florida, we're seeing more and more and more storms now go into the Gulf, hitting Houston and coming back around as well and hitting the west side of Florida, Panhandle area, because we haven't really gotten many big storms in Miami, Fort Lauderdale in a long time. I'm talking about like a major hurricane. Hopefully we don't get that, but we've just been getting more frequent extreme heavy rain events. Hey, Lemonade, good to see you. Yeah, Dave, I saw that too. So they're now potentially talking about adding a category to the hurricanes. The storms are getting so severe. Category 6. So we're now walking in front of the United Nations, everyone. We're about to cross East 43rd Street. You can see the security guard in the little window thing. Oh, this is a cool view. You have Chrysler and one Vanderbilt. Seems a little bit too desolate over here for me. I like it when it's desolate, but the buildings aren't like glassy skyscrapers. I like it kind of what we had in Tutor City and Sutton Place, when it's very quiet, but you feel like you're in a community. Obviously, most of these are federal buildings, and the UN. Now, another thing about the hurricanes, and I'm sure all those hospitals have fortified infrastructure, but with the sheer volume of storms that Houston gets, I mean, I would assume they have backup after backup after backup plan to keep those hospitals functioning, right? God forbid a big category 5 storm slams into Houston. I mean, those are some of the top tier cancer hospitals in the country that are in Houston, Texas. I mean, that would be such a bad spot if a storm ever came through and just took all that power infrastructure out. We'll walk past the Trump Tower. This is actually a pretty nice building. The apartments are very similar to what you would see at 1 Central Park West, but obviously without the gorgeous Central Park views, and it's not in it really that good of a location. This is way too far east. I mean, there's no public, I mean, yeah, you get the bus, but there's almost like no public transportation. Imagine living here, and then it's middle of winter, you have to trek through the bus, walk halfway through the city to get to the subway. But the building is nice, and the apartments are nice. There's nice ceiling heights, floor to ceiling windows. It's beautiful in here. I do like it. If you ever stayed in the Trump International Hotel and Tower on Central Park West, you'll see a lot of similarities. Now that was also a condo conversion. One Central Park West used to be an office tower. Very quiet. Yeah, Dennis the Menace. This is MD Anderson. Top tier in the world. That's where my buddy's daughter is right now. I never knew that until this whole situation came up. I never knew that Houston was top ranked for cancer ever. Let's actually check this out. I never knew there was a restaurant in here. We're really going off the beaten path on this live stream. Yeah, they have a whole the Plaza Grill, World Cuisine. Interesting choice of wallpaper, right? With those tigers. Trump World Tower. Never knew they had a restaurant here. Must have overlooked it. Very similar to One Central Park West. Stairs are very steep. Beautiful. You have this like really nice grand entrance down here. It's quite nice. It's just too far east for me. I can't live over here. Left. We'll head back up. Here's the main valet. I will say that the Trump property management is best in class. They do know what they're talking about and they do know what they're doing when it comes to hospitality and property management. My best building ever that I lived in is that 106 Central Park South. I've never seen a building run so well. I'm even friends with some of the doormen to this day. Really nice guys. But you know what? I'm kind of glad we came all the way to the east side tonight. We never really come over here. Almost never. Particularly during the winter, we almost never, ever, ever come over here. Bayer Beast, MD Anderson in Texas, Mayo Clinic in Florida and Arizona, and Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City are the top. It's good to know. It's definitely good to know. Brad's Brains is on that note. Do you think Trump employees are paid better than average? I'm not too sure, because in New York City, it has a lot to do with unions. I don't really know so much about it, but many of these doormen are in unions, and I think they have to be paid in accordance to their contract. I think. But I will say this. Some doormen at some of the top buildings in Manhattan, like 15 Central Park West, 157 Steinway Tower, Central Park Tower, they do really well. Like really, really well. Looks like they're repaving this whole road. The cities have been actually doing a really good job paving things. Hey, what's up, Cosmo? Good to see you. We were just checking out the United Nations. And now we're walking through this maze of scaffolding. Now I found, I'll tell you a quick story. When I lived at 106 Central Park South, during the holidays, they drop a letter in everyone's mailbox, right? And the letter is suggested gratuity for the staff, for the general manager, for the porter, for the doorman, for the bellman. And it's like rank and tier, rank and file, what you should tip for the holidays. And I found it the other day. I found it because I kept it, because I was living there during COVID, and they would periodically send stuff for protocol with the masks and all that. And Eric Trump would personally sign these letters, so I kept it. It's kind of cool. And I think it came out to over $2,500 a person. That's what I remember. The suggested thing was to tip the staff. All in, I think it came about maybe $2,500 to $3,000 from what I remember. Not per individual person. What I mean is, from each unit, the $2,500 is split amongst all the staff for everyone, every unit, right? So if you have 100 units in the building, $2,500 each, do the math, split amongst the staff. I think that's what I remember. But I have it at the house. I'll get the exact number. This is the lipstick building that you see. This is where Bernie Madoff ran his Ponzi scheme. Right there. I mean, what do you guys think is fair? from anyone in the chat. What do you think? If you live in a doorman building, full service in New York, and when I'm talking about full service, I mean they have concierge for you. They, pick up, they pick up your dry cleaning, all that. Wow, they really closed down the whole street here. And it's looking really good too. It's looking really good. Well, kudos to the city. All right, I'll cut to this. What do you guys think is fair? If you live in one of these buildings, what do you think? Is $2,500 per household fair? Some give more. What do you think? Tommy guys is what else do you get for the services? In my building, Leanne says our rule of thumb in our building is 1 month's rent split between the staff. That's fair. It's definitely fair. Now, could you imagine if, your rent is 50 grand, like on Billionaires Row? The doorman could make out pretty good. Hey, what's up, Esmeralda? TK Porsche is assuming the services match. I'm fine with the tipping. Yeah, my build, and I'll say again, not to sound like a broken record. Hold on, let's go down here. I think down one of these streets is that Tomy Jazz. I actually have my other phone. Let me see if I can pull it up. This is like a really cool speakeasy place. Let me see if I can pull it up. (53rd Street). Yeah, right here. I knew it was right here. So if you guys want a very unique and very cool speakeasy kind of bar to go to, come right here. Let's see if I can give you the exact address. 239 East 53rd Street. 239 East 53rd. Here it is. So usually wait here. Oh, and Chase the Fox. Let me Google you. Let me see where you are. Chase the Fox. Oh wow, you're right next to Tomy Jazz? I never knew that. Yeah, but this place is very cool. It's like a Japanese fusion. You could get like meals and stuff. I think it's right under the stairwell you go. It's very cool. At least this is what I remember when I went here last time. Yeah, right under here. And you go down, and it's a very, very cool place. All right, let's find out where this Chase the Fox is. Chase the Fox. You're on the ground floor unit, right? I think this is you. Ah, it is. Here you are. Wow, I love it. So check out our friend Chase the Fox. (229 East 53rd Street). That's awesome. So this is your store. Leanne's store is right here. Do we go down here? don't call the cops on us. We're just checking it out. It looks like a very, very cute store in here. I love it. I think it's great. And so you just come right down here into here, right? And then you go through this door, I'm assuming. Very unique. Well, good stuff. I don't think we can go up here. There's a dead spot. We gotta turn around and go back. So you have Chase the Fox and Tommy Jazz. Alright, I gotta head back to the office. But I might as well take you guys with me. Now, I know we kind of got a little bit off track, but it's all right. Tomorrow's the big day. CPI number is tomorrow. We'll be discussing that. At the beginning of the live stream, we were talking about a potential refresh cycle for AI laptops, sparked by a big enterprise upgrade cycle. You see Apple is leading here, which kind of goes along with our thesis of a big hardware refresh. And then Friday is going to be a pretty lengthy stream. Friday, it may actually go to 3 hours, because not only are we going to get the PPI data, but it's also the beginning of earnings season. And we're going to hear from JP Morgan Chase as they officially kick off earnings season. So our lives will be a little bit busy. And new all-time record highs for the S&P 500 today and the NASDAQ 100. East 55th. We'll make a left on East 56th. I feel the humidity picking back up again. Hopefully tomorrow I could get out of work at a reasonable hour, so we can start from Tribeca and walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh, and we covered some major news about condo conversions. If you guys are just joining, check out that breaking news. The Pfizer building The old Pfizer building on 42nd Street and 2nd Avenue is officially going to be the largest office to condo conversion in New York City's history, beating out Harry Mackallow's One Wall Street. But it's also going to be the largest office to condo conversion in the entire United States. So very good news. Yeah, Dave, Brooklyn Bridge is a work in progress for sure. But if we do the Brooklyn Bridge, that means the next night we got to do the Manhattan Bridge, and then the next night after that, we got to do the Williamsburg Bridge, which I don't know if I'll be able to do that because I got to go back to Miami again. Maybe Saturday night, I'll fly back. I'll be there for 24 hours, less. Lipstick building, and then let's go ahead and blow the stream out, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. If you like to talk about the financial markets in New York City real estate, feel free to sign up for our free investing newsletter called Behind the Street. We send out all of our research every other Thursday right as the market closes. You could sign up by scanning the QR code on your screen, punching in your email, and we just sent out our latest issue on Friday. So we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we go over the Brooklyn Bridge. Professor Dario, thank you so much. Shannon, Buy the Book. Judy, Boston City Limits. Leanne, thank you so much. It was good to tour your store there. It was pretty cool. All right, everyone, always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Unij 23, DM, Cosmo. Western Mass Dave, thanks for joining as always. Signing off from New York City. See you all tomorrow. Take care. Out and about, all of our moderators. Thanks, everyone.